I want to thank SmugMug again for sponsoring this episode. So I use SmugMug all the time to run my website, to host my photo galleries, to sell prints, and back up all my photos. Thank you to Mitch Goldstone from scanmyphotos.com for joining us today.
There you go. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Let's talk about the process because I think people want to know. We've got people from Arizona. We got a guy in Canada today, probably Maine. We've got people from all over, and they want to know, put my pictures in a box and let them out of my house. And I don't know if I have the nerve to do this. Why don't you talk about the process?
Jeff, exactly. That's a great question because if people are apprehensive about sending the photos, think about where they are. All the listeners right now, are your photos in boxes, in attics, basements with mildew, all of that? The biggest risk is if you don't send them to us and they're just sitting there with natural disasters, wildfires, floods, hurricanes, all of that. Weather Channel came out, did a story on us after a hurricane, and they showed someone's entire lifetime of memories just destroyed. All the photos were laid out on the front yard. And that's why it's so important. And it's not just me, but if you go to the website, right on the homepage, you'll see a professionally produced commercial from the United States Postal Service. They came out with a big production crew. They created this commercial because they love the story that people trust the U.S. Postal Service with delivering their most precious possessions. And we never lose anything, but there are a lot of mechanisms in place also where we digitally archive every order. So you can select how long you'd like it stored for. Everything is safe. And if there's any need for you to have copies, we press a button, send it right over to you.
Okay, so 1 billion photos, over 1 billion photos have been scanned at your house, right? At your
Yeah,
shop. How many boxes go out every week?
we 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 have so many. I'm only the co-owner, so I don't keep track of all of that. What my primary job is listening to customers, and that works out really nicely. But we have a great relationship with Postal Service. We have deliveries throughout the day, and it's really important, especially because people need it rushed back so fast.
Okay, I want to remind everybody that we'll be taking questions soon. I just have a few more for Mitch. So the average is $200. You have a choice of resolution. 150? Is it 150 or 200? 200
For
DPI, 300 DPI, and 600 DPI?
Right. The average people go for is 300 DPI. If you don't need to preserve an archive for art and all of that, I just say save some money and go with the lower resolution. 300 is ideal. If there are people that are just preserving everything just to upload to Twitter or Snapchat, all of that, you don't need the highest resolution. But yes, it's always better to do more than less with it. And we work very closely with all the photo sharing apps. The big thing that we've become over the years is a content provider for all of them because everyone listening, if you upload to all the different apps, including TikTok, all of them, that pretty much you're uploading pictures from your smartphone, maybe from the food that you ate last night, but it's all recent content from your camera roll. So what Instagram and the others really like is it's all about volume and content. So they like that it's basically the tip of the iceberg where all the old photos, slides, home movies, all of that are now being digitized to upload. So people aren't just sharing recent pictures from their smartphone. It's all about nostalgia and storytelling about all those incredible past memories.
Okay, well, let me just one last note on resolution. I think you save about 20 bucks if you get the lower resolution. So Jeff's recommendation is don't spend the money, get the higher resolution, go for 600 if you can because you want to save these forever. Mitch mentioned the wildfires and the floods and all the things. You know, I know a guy in Venice that his house went up in flames. He ran out the door with his hard drive and that was it. But most people aren't so lucky and everything needs to be archived. Everything needs to be archived. Everything needs to be backed up. You've got a lot of iPhone users out here, Mitch. So How does scanning relate to them?
Very, very much so, because it's all about content. Where look at your camera roll, see all the pictures. It's from last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but not when you were a child, when you had that wonderful family adventure, all the trips, all the nostalgia, which is really, really fun. We just finished an order today for. I haven't checked to see if I could use his name, but his dad passed away. He was one of the most famous actors, and he found his entire dad's lifetime of everything. It's kind of sad because no one knew who anything was at Scan My Photos. We have a younger crowd, but that he had us digitize everything, and he's been posting it on the different social media. I think the one he did was Twitter, just posting all of them. He got tens of thousands of people to comment and see his dad as they've never seen before.
Okay. Um, okay. You talked about photo sharing services. I neglected to mention that this episode of the iPhone Photo Show slash Photowalk Talks is brought to you by our good friends at SmugMug, the photo sharing company where I run my website. I sell prints. I show my photo galleries the way I want them to be seen, and I back up all my smartphone photos and regular photos. I use it as a virtual hard drive. I've even have a great gallery of scans of pictures that I took when I was 13 years old that I sent Mitch the negatives for recently. These were pictures I took when I was 13 years old and I hadn't seen since. And it was quite a trip to see my mother in her 20s and my brother as a very young boy and all sorts of fun things. So thank you for that. A 3 day. Again, I was in Japan. I mailed the box before I left, and Mitch sent me actually, it wasn't Mitch, but it was scanmyphotos.com, sent me a download link, and I downloaded them while I was there and put up a gallery on SmugMug. So that was really cool.
It's
Um,
Jeff. If I if I could mention, because you talked about Japan, I'm just thinking, because we've known each other for decades, and I'm just thinking decades ago, if I would have met you at CES, wherever, and I said, Jeff, one day you're going to be in Japan, and you're not going to take your camera gear, your lenses, all of the equipment. You're just going to take your smartphone, and you're going to be touching glass to take pictures. What would you have said?
I'd say you're crazy.
Exactly. And now that's the question. What next 5 years from now when we start laughing? Oh my gosh, remember when we had that small little, smartphone? What is it going to be next?
What is next? There's just a story out today that Apple's glasses are going to come out in 2025 or 26, and they will connect to the iPhone, and they will no doubt take photos. I still don't think people want to go around with funny camera glasses on. Everybody who tries it doesn't seem to do very well. But what do you think, Mitch?
I I have a problem because we're all about privacy, and I have issues with that. Um, I'd like to see some other technology other than that. To me, it's kind of a little creepy walking around with glasses taking pictures of people. I know, though, that one of my friends just told me that Taylor Swift, with her concerts, the entire arena is holding up their smartphones and live streaming on TikTok. So the entire audience isn't watching her. They're watching their phones, live streaming to their friends with the I'm here, you're not video.
Yeah, Bruce Springsteen has been playing around, and I see a lot of pictures from his shows, and they are amazing. They're not He's not this big. I mean, they're nice close-ups of him, which just shows you how good the camera's gotten. I should mention that when I was in Japan, beyond the iPhone, which is my camera of choice, I also bought a Galaxy with me, so that I could know the Galaxy. Because everybody, whenever I say, "Here's how to do something on the iPhone," they say, "Yeah, but how do I do it on the Galaxy?" So I brought the Galaxy, which has a 10x zoom, and I found myself using that a lot. It's really good. And so we hope that Apple truly will have a 10x zoom on their phone in the fall when the new one comes out. Which phone do you use, Mitch?
I use the iPhone, the newest. I keep on getting the new models, and when you think back to the resolution on the first iPhone back in 2007, was
It
it?
was later.
Uh, yeah, got it. The quality has improved just so much. Jeff, I remember at one of the PMA Photo Marketing Associations with PMDA in Las Vegas, and there was a photographer from National Geographic that asked a room of all of the photo industry executives, raise your hand if you have a camera with you right now. And about three people raised their hands. And the photographer said, one day soon, everyone's going to have a camera and it's all going to be stored in your phone and kept in your pocket. And people were just looking around dumbfounded. They couldn't understand what that person had meant. And here we are.
Uh, so you take all these pictures on your phone. How do you back them up? You're the king of archiving. So what do you do?
I love Google Photos in the cloud, also Dropbox. And I'm so glad you asked that question because we have so many people that have us digitize all of their content. So now they have flash drives, those that still have DVDs, all of that, and it's stored on their computer. Just like the person you mentioned who had to run out of their house, that you have to have everything backed up multiple places. So when we provide you with the flash drive and the different media, it's so important. It's not locked. You can do anything you want with it. Make copies, archive it, safety deposit box, keep copies with friends and relatives, not just on your smartphone. Backing up is so important.
Okay, let's talk about your process. First of all, I want to invite everybody to start submitting questions because we want to hear from you. And don't forget the super chat is open, and we'd love to see you there. Your files come out as scan 01, scan 02 unless you take some action there. Tell everybody how you can make sure that you don't end up with 2,000 pictures that goes scan 01 to scan 2000 that you have to then rename.
Sure, real easy. We don't know who's who, who's the in-laws, who the outlaws are in photos, so we don't know how to name each file. So it's really easy. Just go online and search for a any program that will bulk file name for you. So it's really easy. You could take all the holiday pictures from 2008, from 2000, whatever year, all that content and rename it. It's really easy to do
What
just
do you
with bulk
recommend?
filing.
What do you
Um,
recommend for using?
I'm not sure because I do different things, but the easiest and what we just recommend, because I don't always like recommending just one company, is just to Google how to create bulk file names, and it's really easy to do. So
Okay.
you just categorize each one. When the photos come in, what we ask people to do is to prepare them. Use just a traditional index card and write down on it what the content is, what the theme is, what the event is. Put a rubber band around it. Request to have everything scanned in order. And then that index card is also scanned, so you actually see the next 100 pictures will all be from that vacation
Okay.
or holiday.
If I write holiday on the index card, will then the files that are within that index card all say holiday?
Oh, no, just the index card. So all these subsequent files will all be with that. And then when you see the next index card, it will be the next category.
Okay. I rename files in Lightroom, Lightroom Classic, on the
Good.
computer, and otherwise I do it one by one manually in my Mac, which is a pain in the butt. I don't know about any bulk renaming services, so I will look forward to maybe hearing from the audience what they use as well. Some questions are coming in. We're going to start with Roy, who says, I missed it. Do you recommend 300 or 600 DPI for best results?
Oh, Roy, great question, Roy. 600 DPI. Always go for the larger files, and then you could always size it down as needed. One thing I also say is please send everything, especially with the prepaid fill the box service, that what happens is when you get the whole family together and they're all going through all the photos and pulling out all the ones that they don't like, all of the different things, you get rid of all the silly pictures and the really fun pictures. So have everything scanned. Really important because each one of them has a story. Just like you were saying, going back, seeing your relatives when they were younger.
Yeah. If you have negatives and paper photos of the same photographs, which is better for conversion? Sending the
Now,
negative or the print?
please, now it's really expensive for the negatives in comparison. At Scan My Photos, we digitize 2 photos every second. We scan 35 millimeter slides, 1 per second. The negatives are much more involved with that. We also use digital ice and all of that for dust and scratch. But it's best today because our quality is so good. Please just send the photos as is. And if they need any special TLC care, just select photo so for photo enhancement, and then we
Okay.
adjust the
I
pictures.
should mention now, remember, Mitch scanned my negatives that I took when I was 13 years old. I used to use a cleaner on it, the negative, and then when I put it in the negative sleeves, it would stick to the negative sleeve. So when I opened up this box of negatives, now it's a negative book, they were stuck to the paper, and I just was ripping them and ripping them and ripping them, and I sent them to him, and you would never know. You would never know. They were all clean. And I couldn't believe that you did that, Mitch.
We do magic here, and it's real. There's no business like this. I mean, Jeff, you're my favorite photographer, and you know how important pictures are. And these are the life memories that have to be protected. And um, it's such a fun, great business to do that to make people happy. It's there are not many businesses actually where hopefully when the customer gets the product back, they literally cry.
Well,
Happy tears mostly.
I didn't cry, but I was really happy. Debbie S.,
Good.
I use Name Mangler on the Mac to bulk rename files. So jot that one down. Let's give that a try. We have a
Debbie,
question
that's a
from
good one. Yeah.
what file from Greg up in Canada. What color profile? Notice he spells it with the Canadian spelling. What color profile is applied to the files? Is it sRGB?
Um, Jeff, you stumped me on that. Well, I'm not sure. That's more on our tech side. Um,
Okay,
Maybe a
well, you
little
can
more
find out and
information.
I'll get back to Greg.
Good.
So, okay, here's a question from Jeff Berg. He does renaming using a Better Finder rename, but it won't do anything based on automatic recognition. Yeah, I think the fact is you're going to have to do the work. That's just the way it is. If you expect to find things, you have to find the work. Now, I love the tagging in the Apple Photos app on the phone. If you click the little eye in the picture, you can associate the name of the person. And once you do that, it makes it much easier to find people. Google Photos also has something similar. Um, Keep the questions coming. I want Mitch to run down one by one each form of scanning. Now we know for scanning prints, you stuff them in a book, in a UPS box, United States Post Office box, and for roughly $200, you can get 1,800 prints in there. Correct? Okay.
That's right. I
Now
just got the answer. It's sRGB
okay.
to that
For
prior question.
so we did the prints. Now for slides, talk about the process for slides, for negatives, and then we'll get into videos.
Great, Jeff. So for slides, we just came up because so many people had slide carousels they wanted to send in. So we now have that bulk slide carousel service. People send in 50 slide carousels. You can't even imagine how large that is. So we digitize all of those. For slides, you can keep them in the plastic holders or in the boxes, whatever works best for you. We digitize all those, as well as negatives. So if you have the negatives in sleeves, that's perfect, and envelopes, all of that. The only thing that can't be in envelopes or anything are the photos, and the website shows you how to do
Okay, and slides, you put a rubber band around the slides?
that.
That's how you
No,
like them?
no need to. You could. Most people just send in the slide boxes. We
Okay.
had we had someone that just had 100 slide boxes that were sent in. Coolest gift in the world. They found these are more than 50 years old. It was their mom's 90th birthday. They went to the celebration and showed everyone for hours of just laughing, crying, sharing nostalgia. It's all about storytelling.
Okay. Roy wants to know the name of your website because he doesn't think we've said it enough times. It's right there. scanmyphotos.com.
Jeff,
And Mitch,
you're funny. I was on uh, actually it was Fox News, and it has a large audience. So I tried to make sure scanmyphotos.com was mentioned each time, and then the interviewer at the end said, "Mitch, we didn't quite get the name of the company. Can you say it one more time?"
yeah, I think it's pretty good. And if anybody wants to email you, you want to tell them your email? Because that's what Roy wants to send you a note. Is that
Oh,
okay?
absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely. And the best way is because we have people monitoring all the time is just to support at scanmyphotos.com. So that's support at scanmyphotos.com. Also, when you go to the website, you can click live support and all of that as well.
Okay. Roy, thank you for your question. Keep them coming. We're now going to talk about archiving video because you can get your old videos done. What is the rough cost on doing a VHS cassette and a Super 8 and all that stuff?
Sure. Jeff, this is going to sound weird because you know I'm the biggest promotional guy for photography, archiving, preservation, all of that. VHS cassettes are in horrible shape. As you know, they're magnetic tape that disintegrate over time. And these cassettes, these precious memories, are more than 10 plus years old. The quality of it is horrible. We still offer the service, so you can still send them to us, but it's not like photos and everything because it's magnetic tape. And if it's now 30 years old, it degrades so much that it's kind of like data rot, where all the images on it just fade away.
Okay, but what's it, $20 a tape, 25,
It
10?
it's 29.95 for it, and as you see on the website, we run promotions periodically, but it's 29.95 per cassette, and we also have, which is really nice, just like with photos and the prepaid slide box, which holds 540 slides. We have a prepaid box for all your VHS cassettes. It holds 14 of them, and you can send those to us as well.
And how much is that box?
It's just a few $100s. I hate to quote the exact price. It's all on the website. It's kind of like a restaurant where you have so many different items and you forget which is which. The thing you
And you
don't
do
forget is
you do high 8 and 8 millimeter videos as well?
we do all of that. But it's when you think back to yours, the it's magnetic tape and the quality just isn't as good as it used to be.
Okay, now here's a video question here. Would you make a print from a frame of 8 millimeter or 16 millimeter? I'm guessing the answer is
I
no.
I love that question. Our technology is so crazy that what we do for home movie films is we actually digitize every frame. And the reason for that we came up with was because of TikTok, because people are using that, but they also want to individually save um, by the frame. So you get this beautiful, high quality image from a single frame that you have.
Yeah, but how do I tell you what frame to take on a video? Do I send you the frame?
Good question. No, you send us the whole video and you get everything back. So you're watching uh, each movie, and then when there's a certain frame that you really like, you just freeze it and you could capture it, and the quality is awesome.
Okay, getting back to slides, we have two great giveaways today. As I mentioned, one of them is the doohickey from Belkin that connects your phone into a webcam, connects on the top of your laptop, which is really cool. And one lucky person's going to win that today, as well as free slide scanning a Kodak carousel box. Tell everybody about that, Mitch.
Really easy. So once you get that, you send us the carousel box. Most people are sending lots of them, 10, 20, 30 of them at a time with all of those slides. It holds up to 140 uh, 35 millimeter slides. Those all get digitized. If you choose ScanFast, it's all done same day. And if you have instant upload, just like you had, you get all of the images the same day. There's no waiting. I need to say, because you mentioned SmugMug, I am a huge fan too. Not to be too commercial, but it's the ultimate place after your photos are digitized for creating all types of other cool stuff.
Yes, you can make mugs and albums and prints and all this. Speaking of prints, I have a print question for you. And by the way, audience, keep them coming. Print question. I have a feeling, not this crowd, but I would bet that most people with their phones will lose their phone and lose their pictures all the time. And I wonder if they've archived anything. I bet you 10 to 20% have actually archived, and most don't.
That's
Will
a good
will
question. Yeah,
we be scanning our iPhone pictures? What do you think?
that's a good one. I'm going to make a note of that. What do you think?
Well, I think that most people don't make prints from their iPhone photos, and they should. What do you think?
Indeed, that's where SmugMug comes in. It's so important because when you're someplace and first thing you do instinctively is show someone your phone and say, "Oh, look at this." But parents and everyone else, they want hard copies to put on the refrigerator to save. It's so important. I think that's a great business where you could press one button and have everything printed out because it's so inexpensive today for
Well,
that. Not the
it's
saved memes and all of that that you have, but your photos.
yeah. I wish it was as inexpensive as you say, but I'll shoot. I do thousands of pictures every weekend. I wish it was inexpensive. I wish I could print everything, but I can't. And also, I don't have room for where am I going to put everything? But that's why a lot of people do the photo books, just because it's just they can put it on the shelf. You know.
Indeed, and we work with all of them. One of the best ones that I really like is Mixbook. And what Mixbook does is they have these creative designers that help you because you're not just pressing a button and popping a photo onto a page. They have so many templates and designs for it. And what's really neat, I think why Mixbook likes us too, is because everyone's just uploading pictures from a recent celebration, party, event, travel adventure they had, but not their decades past photos, and no one can upload them to Mixbook because they're still in photo albums and boxes in the attic.
KLG says that Apple did me wrong on iMessage. I don't trust iCloud anymore. I'm wondering how the two meet up there, and I would like KLG to amplify this more. I'm down on iCloud because they say that they back everything up off your phone. Then they send you a nag message and say you've run out of room on your phone, and then you delete off your phone, and they get deleted off iCloud at the same time. That's why I steer real clear from iCloud. As far as iMessage goes, most people tend to get low resolution images when they text photos to other people. That's I'm not I'm not real keen on it, but I wouldn't save anything. I would not save somebody's text photo. So KL, I hope you give us some more information there. We have some more questions. Who do we got here? JR, I have several old Super 8 films that have unfortunately yellowed with age. Do you offer color corrected conversions? Do you copy Super 8 films? That's another question for you. And do you color correct them along with the original raw format?
We do. We have photo enhancement software for that, but there are all types of tools online too. The easiest is just to Google, or I should say now, Chat GPT for how to adjust and fix all of those old Super 8 movies. But it's really important, especially Polaroids, all of that that have faded. Jeff, if you remember, you're way too young for this, but you used to go on a vacation and you would buy pre-printed slides of wherever you were, and they had beautiful slides of all the events. The problem with those is they're all red, faded, discolored. And I found out from someone at Kodak shared this with me years ago. They used inferior film and chemistry and all, so it quickly faded away. But it's really easy. We have tools to adjust that and fix the images, especially those that are faded.
All right. From another question from Roy, and you're going to love this one. How long does it take to scan a box of photos?
Roy, great question. It's pretty fast. So we digitize 1,000 photos in under 5 minutes. And we have lots of these high-end, high-performance scanners. So it's really fast. If you need it back right away, just select Scan Fast, Express Service. We get your order, and then Roy, same day, you're going to get a message sent to your email that you click. You're all done. You see everything, and it's all digitized, and then we send back your
Okay,
originals if you'd
I
like.
think Roy lives in Arizona, so let's say Roy did the box of photos, sent them in the mail on Friday, and then they arrived to Irvine on Monday, maybe, right? Sounds
Yes,
right? Okay, so you get
yes.
them on Monday, you open the box, he's clicked the button for Express, you'll digitize them and send him an email by the end of the day, maybe?
Actually, quite a bit quicker than that. Everything is prioritized for that, and we take this very seriously, though, because a lot of times people need things expedited, whether it's a memorial service, whatever the situation is, that it's that fast. So,
How,
and
how,
when you,
and how much extra is the service?
I'm not sure again. You have to because we have so
You
many
got to
different
know your
products.
pricing, man.
I know. The
Let's take a
Express.
guess. $20, $30, $50, $100.
I'm not sure. It's just on the pull down menu, we have so many extras, all the different add on features. So all the prices are right there and it's really easy to see,
Okay.
to
Here's
select.
a
And then
question
on the
from
invoice, it has that too.
another question from Rod. Do I send the carousel with slides in them? Do you return the carousel or just the slides?
No, we do. We return the carousel and the slides. So really important to send the whole thing. Try to make sure you fill it up because it's $40 per Kodak slide carousel. So it holds up to 140 slides. So if you only have 20 in it, it's still a great deal. But try to fill it up to make sure the carousels are full. And if you select same day scanning, those are all digitized, uploaded, sent back to you same day. And then we return your originals as well.
Okay. Another question from Roy. What's the best way to send digital pictures to family members? And I does that that's photo sharing 101. So I know how I do it. How does Mitch do it? And how does everybody else do it out there? Please chime in.
Yeah, really easy. I just do whether it's through email or a messaging for that to send the pictures.
Okay, so again, SmugMug is my sponsor, and take it with a grain of salt. But when I have a whole bunch of images, I create a gallery in SmugMug and I send people the link to it. And I make them downloadable. And so they can just click on there for the pictures of my family that I archived thanks to Mitch in Japan. I created a gallery in SmugMug and sent it to my mother and brother and said, have fun. And that's one way. And then, of course, I email them and I text them and what else do I do? I do all of social media, but for the best, I do SmugMug. Um, this week, Substack, which is the platform I use for my newsletter, came out with their Twitter alternative called Notes. And it looks like Twitter, it acts like Twitter. And I'm all for competition for what was once a great service being run into the ground. I've never seen anything fall to pieces as fast as Twitter. And I've been sending out notes, and it's right now it's great because it's like Twitter, except it's with all good people and you're supporting an alternative. Mitch, you've seen some of my notes. You know I'm big on Substack. What's been your reaction so far to notes?
I like that a lot, and I like that you mentioned that about Twitter. I don't know what's going on. We're really big on social media, and we just did a poll earlier today. Who should be defunded, Elon or NPR? And it was 100% Elon. I mean, Jeff, this is such craziness. You know, when you're a corporate executive, especially at that level, you have obligations to your customers and he's just running his mouth off and getting more and more people just to um, detach from Twitter, which used to be really good. It's a scary place right now.
Yeah, so give notes a try. Look for me there, and a lot of people have been joining this week. We have to support the alternative. And if you don't like notes, you could try Mastodon, and you could try to figure it out. It's beyond me. So Roy asked another one, and we have other questions beyond Roy. Sending pictures using iMessage is not so good. It's fine, except that they lower the resolution when you send them to people. These are not pictures that people can keep. They can look at shortly, but they're not pictures that they can keep. So I would do I would do an email, frankly, if you're doing ones or twos. But Dropbox, Microsoft OneDrive, Google Drive, you name it. For anybody who has Amazon Prime offers free photo sharing with unlimited. Uh, the only problem is the interface is horrible, but it works. You can send them that way. You have a lot of choices. As Jeff Berg mentioned, I've done a whole bunch of podcasts on there. So if hit me up and I'll send the links. I'll try to put some of the links in the description here. We've got a bunch more questions, and we put the glasses on to read them. Okay, speaking of Jeff Berg, Jeff says messages satisfies
Oh,
demands the most. Like Greg says, you can send high res if you must. And there's a toggle in iMessage to set the quality to high or low. Um, I still think for most people, getting a low res text is fine. But I wouldn't save it. If they want to save it, that's another story. From JR, any chance that you could scan old ViewMaster Wheels discs, which were copyrighted? So yeah.
wow. That's it. JR, that's it. That's a great question. You may have aged yourself a little. Sadly, I just did too, because I know what that is. Really bad. Jeff, refresh my memory. What was that old Kodak, Kodak disc film was it disc film? It was on like a little
The
round
110,
disc.
it was 110, right? It was 110. Am I
110,
right? Yeah.
110. And then there was a disc one as well. And the quality was always horrible because the image size was so small. I forgot to mention, and this is a really big one because none of this is digitized. Remember Kodak and Fuji and APS film, Advanced Photo System?
Yeah, yeah.
Right, so all of those cartridges, 15 exposure, 2440 exposure, they all have something in common. They're all analog. There's no way to digitize those. So we have a service, this I know, $7.95 per APS cartridge, any exposure. So important, and it's so much fun to get those digitized to see what was on those little cartridges. And there are millions of them, but they're all just sitting away in boxes and haven't been revisited since, I forgot when APS came out, maybe like 95,
90s,
2000.
90s, yeah.
Yeah,
Jeff says the reality is Instagram, that he shares on Instagram, though I will message a few images. If anyone wants prints, they can get the high res, but the only prints most get are those I make for them because he's a great photographer. Um, yeah. And just know that Facebook and Instagram lowered the resolution by 10. It's like 1/10 of the original image. So be careful and don't use those social media services as your archivist. Google Photos, which Mitch uses, also lowers the resolution, which is why I'm not such a big fan. And also, when you use Google, you're paying, I don't know what you pay, Mitch, if you pay the $10 a month for the 2 terabytes, but that includes your Gmail. And if you go over the photos, then you can't read your Gmail and you can't reply to them. So that could be a problem. But it sure is convenient. So what else do we have? Okay, we got a few more here. Okay, Jeff was going to ask the ViewMaster question, and he just said yes. And messages satisfies the demands of most. Okay, anybody else before we talk about the contest winner? Let me ask Mitch another question. We talked about scanning digital prints. We talked about here's something else from Roy, who says, "Is AirDrop to transfer pretty good quality? It's the best, and that's what I use all the time." And I can't tell you how many times I run into people and they say, "Can I get a copy of that?" And I say, "Sure, let me AirDrop it to you." That's an iPhone thing, and it works really well. It's like magic. Mitch talked about if he had asked me a question 30 years ago. Well, if he had said we're going to hold our phones together and just, I wouldn't believe it, right?
right.
So I airdrop video files to my computer all day long. Mitch, are we still going to use cameras in 5 years?
I think so. You know, when you watch the old movies and you see people rushing to a payphone, and today people don't know what that is. I think we're still going to. I hope we don't use those glasses that you have, but it's going to be fascinating 5, 10, 20 years from now what the technology is when the smartphone is in the Smithsonian and young kids don't even know what it is. By the way, we do not do Viewmaster. I forgot to mention that.
Okay. Okay. So I did an article when I was at USA Today 6 years ago where they predicted that the phone would be gone in 10 years. And I said, I think you're dreaming. I think we're still going to be using the phone. And I think we're going to, and as of today, 2023, I think we'll still be using the phone 10 years from now. That's just me. I don't think we'll be taking pictures with our glasses. I don't think we'll be taking pictures with our wrist or our shoulders or whatever. I think we're still going to have a device on us. That's my prediction. Whether we still use the big cameras, that's an open question. What happens to the big cameras? There's still a use for them. Portraits still look amazing on them. Wildlife, sports, you couldn't do on the smartphone. Maybe you will be able to soon. But, I did some pictures on Reheld this morning, which is the new long exposure app, and they look good. They don't look as great as I could have done with a traditional camera, but most people don't care. My 2 cents.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, what do you think of Samsung with taking pictures of the moon and adjusting it? Where are you on that?
I'm at every time I see a camera manufacturer's ad, I look at the picture and I know that it's fake. And I wish not Canon, Nikon, and Sony, but when I see some of the promo videos from Apple, and I say, gee, I wonder if they shot those on an iPhone. And I wonder if Samsung used the Galaxy to film their commercials. I don't think they always do that. It's pay close attention, and then when you watch the doctor and the lawyer ads on TV, and they say this is an actor who's been hired. It's yeah. So I have a problem with the fakery. Um, oh, you know what we didn't mention, Mitch, is you've got a professional service, and which is great, and it costs some money, but you get professional results. But most people are picking up their phone and they're taking a picture of the old picture, or they're using an app like Google Photoscan, or they're using Notes in the iPhone. You can take a picture of a picture. What's your take on them, and why should they go pro instead of uh, phone service?
Sure. If you're at your grandma's house and there's a picture in a frame on the wall, just use your phone. But most people have thousands and thousands of photos, boxes of slides, home movies, all of that. So it's really tough to use that. We're more in the very high volume business. So if you're talking one picture or two pictures, okay, but not for the larger quantity. And I think with Google Photos, with their app, there are issues with that as well. But it's easy for one or two, but anything more, that's where Scan My Photos comes in.
Yeah, you also get better results. Um, Fake moon, says Dwight. I can layer in better moons with third-party apps. I do it all the time with my artwork, which is a great segue because we're gonna announce the winners of the contest here, which we have weekly, and we had a lot of really great submissions. You're going to win a prize from Mitch and a prize from Belkin. Let's look at winning photo number one. This is an iPhone shot that was edited in Luminar using the sky replacement. The photographer's name is Steve Walzer, and he does a really nice job. And I would argue that this picture is more interesting with the moon behind it. I mean, it's a nice church and everything, but he really made it come alive. What are your thoughts, Mitch?
That's beautiful. That's the fun of photography. Dwight, congratulations to you. That was I'm sorry. Yeah, that was really good for that.
Okay, that was Steve, not Dwight.
Steve, not
Let
Dwight.
me take out
Dwight had the
take out.
third party apps. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And there's actually two winners this week because we have two prizes. This is also by Steve. I don't know where he took this picture, but he loved the old building and Batman across the street, and I think it's really cute and Really nice guy. I don't know if he enhanced it, but I think it's pretty great. How do you
Nice,
like it?
nice job with that. Yeah, that's a really nice job with that. You know the adage, a picture has 1,000 words. That photograph could be used for creating a movie. There's a whole story behind that building, who worked there, who lived there, all of that stuff. There's a lot of questions to ask from that, and it's quite captivating.
Okay, so the magic of an iPhone and having a camera in your pocket, the whole beauty is that he didn't have to bring lots of gear. He was out, he saw something, he took a picture, which is what we're all about right now. Um, so Steve is going to get a free Kodak carousel slide scans. I hope he held on to his slides. And he's going to get a doohickey from Belkin for connecting his iPhone to the top of his Mac for using it as a webcam. Uh, I'll, we have contests all the time. The description, the details are in the description at our Flickr group. Please submit your best iPhone photos. Mitch, did you enjoy yourself? Did you have a good time?
Jeff, it's always great. So we've known each other for 30 years.
I
I
didn't know
tell
it was
so many
30,
people
but
your stories. I think along from CES, and you taught me. I remember at CES where you would take your name badge and turn it backwards because every exhibitor wanted to chat with you because what you wrote was seen by millions of people. I think you may have even said one time you used someone else's name tag so they wouldn't
uh,
recognize you. Was that?
well, it didn't work because I had a microphone in my hand that said USA Today at the top, so I was pretty much screwed. Or they knew me because when you're on video, that's what happens. But yeah, once upon a time, Mitch had a little store called 30 minute photo, and it
Right.
morphed into scanmyphotos.com. So he's got his hands dirty in the chemicals, like many of us.
What an experience. And 30-minute photos was the same reason Carl and I came up with, because all the other photo retailers were called 1 hour photo. And we realized we could do it in 27 minutes. So we said, well, let's take 3 minutes, just in case we need more time. And that's where 30-minute photos came in. But it was tough for Carl and I because as film transitioned to digital, it all stopped. And we realized there are trillions of photos that need to be digitized.
Well, I could say that I grew up in the dark room, and it never took me 27 minutes to develop film. I mean, it actually took less time to develop film, but it took forever just to be in there and deal with the chemicals and all that sort of stuff. We got a lot of thank yous today. I think a lot of people had a really good time. Scanmyphotos.com. Stuff your prints in a box. Stuff your slides in a box. Stuff your negatives in a box. Stuff your old video cassettes in a box, and Mitch will get them back to you faster than you could even imagine. And now it's a digital download. It used to be a USB, though I think you can still get a USB if you want. But I think most people probably like digital downloads. You've been watching Photowalk Talks right here on YouTube, aka iPhone Photo Show podcast, brought to you by SmugMug. Thank you, Mitch, for joining us. Thank you, audience, for joining in. We'll see you next Thursday at 2 o'clock Pacific time. Bye bye, everybody.